What to do, fellas, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be building kind of a timer and hourglass, of course using the Arduino board and some other stuff. I'm sorry I've been away for a little while. I've just been busy with some different kind of stuff, but the important thing is now we're back and ready with one more project for you guys. So without further ado, let's just get into the project. Right. For this project, we are going to need, of course, the Arduino board and the breadboard. We will need quite a lot of jumper wires, actually. We will need one 10k ohm resistor and 6 220 ohm resistors. We will also need 6 LEDs. They don't have to be necessarily red. I've just picked 6 red to color coordinate. And at last, also something called a tilt sensor. This works by when it tilts, there's some balls inside it to register something. We will use this to, when we tilt the board, the timer will restart. First off, we will start by connecting the 5 volts on the Arduino board to the plus on the breadboard, and the ground on the Arduino board to the minus on the breadboard. Then we will plug in the LEDs and the tilt sensor. As I've mentioned in the other videos, LEDs have the long leg called the anode and the short leg called the cathode. We will use this in the later part of the video. The anode, the longer leg, will be connected to the power and the shorter leg will be connected to the ground. First off, we'll just start by connecting or plugging in all the LEDs. Then we will connect the right side of the tilt sensor with a 10k ohm resistor to the ground. And also connect the right side of the tilt sensor to the Arduino pin number 8. Then we will connect the left side of the tilt sensor to the power. Then we will, as I mentioned earlier, we will connect the shorter side of the LED, the right pin here, with a 220 ohm resistor to the ground. Now we will connect the longer side of the longer pin of the LED to a pin on the Arduino board, starting with the first pin to the far right being to connect it to pin number 2, and then the next to number 3, and so on until to pin number 7. Alright, now that we have connected all the pins to the ground and to the Arduino pins here, you see it's a little bit messy, but as long as everything is connected, it's all good. Let's just jump into the Arduino IDE and actually start to program the code for the circuit. Now that we've gotten into the Arduino IDE, the first thing that we need to do is create a variable for the switch pin. The next variable we need to create is where we will store the last time the LED was changed. We will call this previous time. Next up, we need to create a variable for the switch state or the state of the switch.
We also need to create a variable for the previous switch state, or the state of the switch, and also start with a variable for the LED, which the first LED we put in the first pin for the LED was number 2, so we plug in number 2. At last, we also need to create a variable for the interval between the LEDs turning on. For this project, we are going to set it at 5000, since it's 5000 milliseconds or 5 seconds between each LED turning on. Now, for the setup function, instead of manually putting each LED or each LED pin to output mode, we can use something called the for loop, which we also used in some of the other projects. The for loop takes in three parameters. The first one, we will set the int x equals to 2. Then we will set x needs to be lower than, or while x is lower than 8. And then we set x++. Then inside the function, we will set the pin mode, x, and then output. In this way, we can turn all the pins to the LEDs to output instead of actually doing it manually each one. So we save a lot of space in the program. At last, using the pin mode function, again, we need to set the switch pin to the input mode, since we need to take information from the switch. Now, for the loop function, to actually know how much time has gone since the Arduino turned on, we will use a new function called millis. This runs in milliseconds and tells us how much time the Arduino has been running for. We will set this equal to a new variable called current time, which we will use later in the project. Now, to actually turn the LEDs on every 5 seconds, we will in the loop function use an if function where we will say current time minus previous time. If this is larger than the interval, then we will set the previous time equal to current time, since we will reset again. And then we will use the digital write function to turn the corresponding LED on, saying LED, high. And then to move on to the next LED, we will set LED++, so we move a number up to the next LED. Now, to actually read the input of the switch, we will set the switch state equal to digital read, and then the switch pin, which we set a variable for, which was number 8. We just put in switch pin. To actually capture if we've tilted the switch and need to restart the timer or outlast, we will say that, or use the if function and say that if the switch state is not equal to the previous switch state, we will use the for loop to turn all the LEDs off, using the digital write function, saying x and then low, turning all the LEDs off. Now, after we've turned off all the LEDs, we also need to reset the LED variable to make sure that when it starts again, it starts by turning off on the first LED, and also set the previous time equal to the current time to also reset the time. After this, we also need to set the previous switch state equal to the current switch state to make sure that if we flip the switch again, it will reset again.
Right, now that we've built the code to actually run the circuit, let's do as we did in the other projects and connect the Arduino project or the circuit with the computer using the 2.0 cable and actually upload the code to the Arduino board. Here we go. And now if this code works, we will see that when we upload the code, then after 5 seconds, the first LED should turn on, and then after 5 seconds more, the next LED should turn on, and so on. So let's try and press up here in the top left, upload. We'll just see it takes here the done uploading here, and let's just pan down. We'll count about 5 seconds. You see the first one turn on, then the next one after 5 more seconds, and so on. So of course you can also tweak this number here, so you can make it 10 seconds or so on. Now just to show you that it works, I've turned it to 5 seconds. Now if we want to reset the timer, we just tilt it. So the tilt sensor captures that we tilted it, and then we, of course, as we mentioned in the code, the timer or the outlast restarts. So, very cool. This is it for this project. I hope you've learned something new. If you want to see more projects like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the like button, and I will be posting more videos like this very soon. So, thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.